cherry blossom season in Japan. Welcome to the sleep room, where we wander through peaceful places and drift into restful sleep. Tonight, we're traveling to Japan during the most enchanting time of year, when the entire country transforms into a canvas of soft pink and white. This is cherry blossom season, and you're about to experience the magic of hanami, the centuries-old tradition of flower viewing. As you settle into comfort, allow your breathing to slow and deepen. Feel the weight of the day, releasing from your shoulders, your arms, your legs. With each breath out, you're letting go. With each breath in, you're drawing in calm. Tonight, you're journeying to a land where ancient traditions meet natural beauty, where every breath carries the delicate fragrance of cherry blossoms on a spring. Breathe. The year is now, but the tradition you're about to witness stretches back over 1,000 years. You're standing on a train platform in Tokyo, the first stop on your journey through Japan's cherry blossom season. The late March air is crisp and fresh, carrying that particular quality of early spring when winter's chill still lingers in the shadows, but warmth spreads whenever the sun touches your skin. Around you, the platform hums with quiet anticipation. Japanese families gather with blankets rolled under their arms and baskets of food carefully prepared. Office workers in neat suits check their phones, tracking the cherry blossom forecast with the same attention others might give to weather reports. Children bounce excitedly, their energy contained by gentle parental hands. Everyone is here for the same reason you are, to chase the sakura as they bloom across the country. The cherry blossom forecast, known as the Sakura front, has been carefully monitored for weeks. It moves like a gentle wave from south to north, beginning in Okinawa in January and reaching Hokkaido by May. Right now, in late March, Tokyo and Kyoto are approaching their peak bloom, that magical week when the flowers are at their most spectacular. The entire nation watches and waits, adjusting travel plans and scheduling hanami parties to coincide with nature's fleeting display. Your train arrives, sleek and punctual, gliding to a perfect stop. The doors open with a soft hiss, and you step aboard. The interior is immaculate, with comfortable seats arranged to face the windows. You settle in by a large pane of glass, placing your bag on the seat beside you. As the train pulls away from the station, Tokyo begins to slip past your window, and already you can see them. The cherry trees lining the streets and parks, their branches heavy with pale pink clouds of blossoms. The train's rhythm is soothing, a gentle rocking that seems perfectly suited to flower viewing. Cherry trees are blooming. They stand in rows along rivers, their reflections doubling the beauty in the water. They fill temple grounds, their petals drifting down like snow onto ancient stone paths. They line residential streets, creating pink tunnels that residents walk through with upturned faces and gentle smiles. The tradition of hanami began over 1,200 years ago, though it looked quite different then. In the Nara period, during the 8th century, the Japanese imperial court was heavily influenced by Chinese culture, and it was plum blossoms they initially celebrated. The nobles would gather to write poetry under the plum trees, sharing sake and admiring the flowers. But something changed during the Heian period, which began in 794. The Japanese court stopped sending envoys to China and began developing their own distinct culture. It was during this time that cherry blossoms began to capture the hearts of the aristocracy. By the 10th century, when the Kokin Wakashu poetry anthology was compiled, cherry blossoms had become so beloved that the word flowers in poetry meant only one thing: Sakura, the imperial. Family began holding elaborate cherry blossom viewing parties, planting trees around their palaces, and in the surrounding hills, the cherry tree became a symbol of imperial power and Japanese identity itself. Your first destination appears through the window, Ueno Park. The train slows as you approach Ueno Station, and even before you step off, you can see why this place has been beloved for cherry blossom viewing for centuries. The shogun, Tokugawa Yoshimune, planted cherry trees here in the 1700s specifically so that common people could enjoy them. It was a democratization of hanami, allowing everyone, not just the nobility, to participate in this spring celebration. You exit the station and walk toward the park. The path is lined with hundreds of cherry trees, approximately 1,000 in total, their branches meeting overhead to form a canopy of blossoms. The main path through Ueno Park is famous for good reason. The trees here are primarily somei, Yoshino, the most common and beloved variety of cherry blossom in Japan. They were cultivated during the Edo period in what is now Tokyo, and they possess a particular kind of magic. The Somei Yoshino blooms have 5 delicate petals each, so pale pink they appear almost white, especially in the bright afternoon sun. What makes them especially striking is that the flowers emerge before the leaves, so the trees become pure clouds of blossom, uninterrupted by green. It's this characteristic that creates such dramatic views. Entire trees transformed into sculptures of pink and white against the blue spring sky. Beauty and the sadness of cherry blossoms. They bloom for only about 1 week at peak sometimes, less if wind or rain comes. This transience is central to their meaning in Japanese culture. The cherry blossom represents mono no aware, a Japanese aesthetic concept that translates roughly to the pathos of things, or an awareness of impermanence. The blossoms are beautiful precisely because they are fleeting, reminding everyone who sees them to appreciate the present moment, to find beauty in transience. You find a spot on the grass where you can sit and watch. All around you, people have spread out. Picnic blankets and opened bento boxes. The air is filled with laughter and conversation, the clinking of sake cups, the delighted exclamations of children chasing falling petals. Some groups have arrived early in the morning to claim the best spots, a common practice at popular hanami locations. Office. Colleagues sit together in neat groups. This combination of flower viewing and socializing a tradition that marks the beginning of the new fiscal year in Japan, which starts in April. The food people have brought is as carefully considered as the location. You notice groups sharing Sakura mochi, those distinctive pink rice cakes filled with sweet red bean paste and wrapped in a salted cherry blossom leaf. The leaf isn't just decoration, it's meant to be eaten. Its slight saltiness, balancing the sweetness of the rice and bean paste. The tradition of Sakura mochi dates back hundreds of years, created in a place called Mukojima in Tokyo during the Edo period. There are also hanami dango, three-colored dumplings on skewers. The colors carry meaning. Pink represents the cherry blossoms of spring. White symbolizes the winter snow that has melted away. And green represents the fresh grass of summer to come. These simple rice flour dumplings have a gentle chewiness and mild sweetness, perfect with a cup of green tea. As afternoon stretches toward evening, you notice the atmosphere beginning to shift. Some groups are packing up, but others are arriving with lanterns. You decide to stay for Yozakura, nighttime, cherry blossom viewing. As the sun begins its descent, warm golden light filters through the pink blossoms, creating an almost ethereal glow. Workers begin illuminating the trees with carefully positioned lights, and slowly, magically, the park transforms. Under artificial light, the cherry blossoms take on an otherworldly quality. The pink deepens slightly. The white petals seem to glow from within. Shadows dance between the branches, and the petals that continue to fall drift through beams of light like gentle snow. The mood of the crowds shifts too, becoming quieter, more contemplative. Friends lean close together, speaking in hushed tones. Couples walk hand in hand beneath the illuminated branches. There's something almost sacred about. But your journey is far from over. The next morning, you board another train, this time heading south and west toward Kyoto. The journey takes about 2.5 hours on the Shinkansen bullet train, and the scenery flowing past your window is a constantly changing exhibition of cherry blossoms. They line rivers in dense rows, their reflections creating pink ribbons in the water. They dot mountainsides, standing out against the darker greens of cedar and cryptomeria forests. They surround castles and temples, ancient stone meeting delicate blossom in perfect harmony. Kyoto deserves its reputation as one of the most beautiful places to experience cherry blossom. Season. This city was the imperial capital for over 1,000 years, from 794 until 1868, and that long history has left it rich with temples, shrines, and gardens, all of which become even more spectacular under the cherry trees. Your first stop in Kyoto is the Philosopher's Path, and you understand immediately why this 2-kilometer stone walkway has been captivating visitors for over a century. The path follows the lake, Biwa Canal, through the northern part of the Higashiyama district, and it's lined on both sides by hundreds of cherry trees. The path got its name from Nishida Kitaro, one of Japan's most influential 20th century philosophers who walked this route daily on his way to Kyoto University using the time for meditation and contemplation. You begin your walk at the southern end, near Nanzenji Temple. The cherry trees here are magnificent, their branches arching over the canal to meet in the middle, creating a tunnel of blossoms. Approximately 450 cherry trees line this path, and today, in early April, they're at their peak. The effect is breathtaking. Above you is a canopy of pale pink, and in the canal, below, the reflection doubles the beauty. Petals drift continuously, landing on the water's surface too, float slowly downstream like tiny boats. The atmosphere along the philosopher's path is contemplative but not solemn. Small cafes and shops line sections of the walk. They are outdoor seating areas perfect for resting and watching the blossoms. Artists have set up easels, attempting to capture the scene in watercolors and oils. Photographers crouch by the canal's edge, searching for the perfect angle. Families stroll slowly, parents pointing out the blossoms to small children who chase the falling petals with outstretched hands. Partway along the path, you notice a small shrine, Nyakuoji Jinja, tucked among the trees. This shrine has a history stretching back to 1160, when Emperor Go-Shirakawa established it as a guardian shrine for the area. For centuries, warriors and shoguns visited here too. View the cherry blossoms. The shrine is quieter than the path, and you pause there, standing beneath a particularly magnificent weeping cherry tree. Weeping cherry trees, called Shidare Sakura, are among the most elegant varieties. Their branches cascade downward like a waterfall, and when covered in blossoms, they create curtains of pink that sway in even the gentlest breeze. This particular tree is old, its trunk thick and weathered, its branches reaching nearly to the ground. The blossoms are a deeper pink than the Some Yoshino, more rose-colored, and they bloom slightly earlier. Standing beneath its draping branches feels like standing inside a pink pavilion, the outside world filtered through layers of petals. You continue north along the philosopher's path, and at its northern end, you reach Ginkakuji, the silver pavilion. Despite its name, the temple never received its intended silver coating, but it remains one of Kyoto's most important cultural sites. The temple was built in 1480, by Shogun Ashikaga Yoshimasa as a retirement villa and a counterpoint to the Golden Pavilion, built by his grandfather. The temple's gardens are exquisite, particularly now with cherry blossoms adding their color to the carefully raked gravel and precisely placed stones. The famous moon-viewing sand mound and the silver sand sea, both composed of white gravel raked into specific patterns, provide a stunning contrast to the soft organic forms of the cherry trees. You walk through the garden slowly, following the designated path that winds past ponds and over small bridges, through moss gardens and beneath overhanging branches heavy with blossoms. From Ginkakuji, you make your way to another of Kyoto's countless temples, Kiyomizu Dera. This temple sits on a hillside in eastern Kyoto, and it's famous for its massive wooden stage that juts out from the main hall, supported by hundreds of wooden pillars. The stage offers panoramic views over Kyoto, and today those views are enhanced by cherry blossoms. The temple grounds are filled with cherry trees, approximately 1,500 of them. And from the famous stage, you can see them spreading across the hillside below, pink clouds against the green of other trees and the grey of traditional roofs. The approach to Kiyomizu-dera is up a steep street, lined with shops selling traditional crafts, snacks, and souvenirs. Cherry trees are planted all along this street, and their petals drift down onto the stone. Steps and wooden buildings, creating a scene that could be from any century. The temple itself dates back to 778, and standing here, surrounded by cherry blossoms and an ancient wooden architecture, you feel that deep connection to history that makes Kyoto special. As evening approaches, you make your way to Maruyama Park, another of Kyoto's most famous cherry blossom spots. This park is located next to Yasaka Shrine, and at its center stands one of the most celebrated cherry trees in all of Japan, a weeping cherry tree that's over 80 years old. This tree is so beloved that when it began to show signs of age, botanists carefully cultivated saplings from it, preparing for the day when the original tree might need to be replaced. You arrive as the sun is setting and already crowds are gathering. This tree is illuminated each evening during cherry blossom season, and watching that illumination click on is part of the experience. As twilight deepens, the lights come up, and the ancient tree is revealed in all its glory. Its branches spread wide and droop down, creating a dome of blossoms that glows pink and white in the artificial light. People gasp, camera shutters click, and then a hush falls over the crowd as everyone simply stands and looks. Around this central tree, the park is filled with hundreds of others, all illuminated, all stunning. Groups have spread blankets on every available patch of ground, sharing food and drink, their faces lit by the glow of lanterns and the illuminated trees above. The atmosphere is festive, but gentle laughter mixing with the soft sound of petals falling. You find a quieter spot at the edge of the park and sit on a bench, simply watching. A light breeze picks up, and suddenly the air is full of petals, swirling and dancing in the light. The Japanese have a word for this, hanafubuki, which means flower blizzard or flower snowstorm. It's considered particularly fortunate to witness this moment when the wind shakes loose a cascade of petals, creating a blizzard of pink and white. The next day, you board another train, this time heading south to Nara. Your destination is Mount Yoshino, which has been Japan's most famous cherry blossom spot for over 1,000 years. The first trees here were planted more than 1,300 years ago, and today the mountain is home to approximately 30,000 cherry trees of around 200 different varieties. The train journey to Yoshino takes about an hour and a half from Kyoto, and as you approach, you can already see why this place has inspired poets for centuries. The mountain ridge is visible from the train, and even from this distance, you can see the pink covering its slopes. Mount Yoshino isn't actually a freestanding mountain, but rather a north-facing slope divided into 4 areas, each named for its altitude: Shimo Senbon at the base, Naka Senbon in the middle, Kami Senbon higher up, and Oku Senbon at the top. The name Senbon means 1,000 trees, and there's a famous phrase associated with Mount Yoshino, Hitome Senbon, which means 1,000 trees at a glance, describing the spectacular view of countless cherry trees visible all at once. This isn't hyperbole. From certain vantage points, you can indeed see what appears to be an endless carpet of pink flowing down the mountainside. You arrive at Yoshino Station and decide to walk rather than take the ropeway. The path up to the Yi town is itself a cherry blossom tunnel, trees planted densely on both sides of the road. The most common variety here isn't the Somi Yoshino you've seen elsewhere, but rather Yamasakura, the wild mountain cherry. This is actually one of the oldest varieties in Japan, growing naturally in forests and mountains. The Yamasakura blooms slightly later than Somi Yoshino, and uniquely, its blossoms emerge at the same time as its young leaves, which are a beautiful bronze-red color. This means that trees look different from the pure clouds of white and pink you've seen elsewhere. The colors more complex, the effect more naturalistic. As you climb into the Shimo Senbon area, the path takes you past numerous small temples and shrines, each with its own grove of cherry trees. The town of Yoshino itself is spread along the ridge. Traditional buildings with wooden facades and ceramic tile roofs, all framed by cherry blossoms. Small restaurants and tea houses have opened their gardens for hanami, and the smell of traditional Japanese cooking mingles with the subtle fragrance of the blossoms. You continue climbing to the Naka Senbon area, where most of the town's accommodations and shops are located. Here you find Kimpusenji Temple, one of the most important temples of Shugendo, a syncretic religion that blends Buddhism with ancient mountain worship. The temple's main hall, the Zaodo, is the second largest wooden structure in Japan, and it's surrounded by cherry trees. The reason Mount Yoshino has so many cherry trees is actually rooted in this temple's history. The founder of Shugendo, En no Gyoja, carved a statue of Zao Gongan, the mountain deity, from cherry wood. Since then, cherry trees have been considered sacred here, planted and protected for over 1,000 years. From the Naka Senbon area, you reach an observation point at Yoshimizu Shrine. This is where the phrase Hitome Senbon originated. Standing here, you can see cherry trees covering the slopes. Below and above you, spreading across the mountain ridge like a pink river. The view shifts as clouds pass overhead, changing the light, causing the pink to deepen or brighten. In the distance, other mountains rise, their peaks still touched with the white of lingering snow, providing a stunning backdrop to all this pink. You find a spot in Naka Senbon Park, a series of small hills covered in cherry trees with open spaces, between perfect for hanami. The atmosphere here is different from the city parks. It's quieter, more spacious. Families have spread elaborate picnics, and the feeling is less rushed, more contemplative. Some people have brought musical instruments, traditional flutes and small drums, and soft music drifts across the hilltop. You stretch out on the grass, looking up through the cherry branches at the sky beyond. The blossoms above you are backlit by afternoon sun, each petal glowing with translucent pink. The breeze causes them to sway, creating an ever-changing pattern against the blue. Occasionally, a petal breaks free and drifts down, landing on your face or hands with the barest whisper of touch. The moment feels suspended, eternal, yet fleeting. Exactly what the cherry blossoms are meant to represent. As the day wanes, you climb higher to the Kami Senbon area. The town thins out here, fewer buildings, more trees, and the views become even more spectacular. You can look back down at the areas you've already explored, seeing the different zones of cherry blossoms from above. The late afternoon light is golden, and where it strikes the blossoms, they seem to glow with their own light. You visit one more temple, Nyorinji, which sits on a hillside with views across the valley to more cherry-covered slopes. The temple is quieter here, fewer visitors making it this far. You sit on a bench in the temple garden, surrounded by cherry trees, and simply breathe. The air is sweet with the scent of blossoms. Birds sing in the branches above. The peace is profound as the sun begins to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange that complement the blossoms. Perfectly, you begin your descent. The town of Yoshino is starting to light its lanterns, and the cherry trees are being illuminated for your Sakura. The entire mountainside begins to glow. Thousands of trees, lit from below, their blossoms taking on that magical nighttime luminescence. Your final train journey takes you back to Tokyo, but you make one more stop along the way. It's late evening when you arrive at Chidoriga Fuchi, a section of the moat surrounding the imperial palace. This is considered one of Tokyo's top 3 cherry blossom viewing spots, and it's particularly famous for boat rides on the moat under the illuminated trees. You rent a rowboat at Chidoriga Fuchi Boat Pier and push off into the moat. There are perhaps 160 cherry trees here, a mix of Somei Yoshino and Yamazakura varieties, and they overhang the water, their branches reaching down toward the surface. The trees are illuminated, and rowing beneath them creates an almost dreamlike experience. The blossoms glow above you, their reflection shimmering in the dark water below. Other boats drift nearby, moving slowly, everyone absorbed in the beauty. Petals fall continuously, landing on the water's surface to float and drift. Where they accumulate, they create what's called hanaikada, flower rafts, dense patches of petals floating together like tiny pink islands. Your boat glides through these petal-covered sections, leaving a wake that temporarily parts, the pink carpet before it closes again. The experience is silent except for the gentle splash of oars, the distant murmur of voices from the bank, and the soft rustle of blossoms moving in the breeze. Time seems to slow, stretched by beauty and reflection. You row to the far end of the moat and then drift back, not wanting this experience to end. When you finally return the boat and climb back onto land, you walk along the Chidoriga Fuchi Greenway, This path runs along the moat's edge, and it's lined with cherry trees on both sides, creating a pink tunnel. The path is crowded with evening viewers, but the mood is gentle, reverent. People speak in hushed tones, pointing out particularly beautiful views, helping each other take photographs. Sharing this collective moment of appreciation, you find a spot where you can lean against the railing and look out over the moat. The illuminated cherry trees are reflected in the still water, creating a mirror image, the real and the reflection almost impossible to tell apart. Petals continue to fall, disturbing the reflection momentarily before it reforms. You stand there for a long time, breathing in the sweet air, feeling the cool breeze, watching the play of light and shadow on water and blossom. This is what Hanami is truly about. It's not just flower viewing, though the flowers are undeniably spectacular. It's about presence, about pausing in the midst of busy lives to acknowledge beauty. It's about transience and impermanence, about appreciating something precisely because it won't last. It's about connection to nature, to history, to other people, all standing together beneath these blossoms that have been celebrated in this way for over 1,000 years. The cherry blossoms will fall. In a few days, the branches that are now heavy with pink will be green. With new leaves, the Hanami parties will end. The parks will return to normal. The crowds will disperse, but the memory will remain. And next spring, when the first buds begin to swell on the cherry branches, everyone will look forward with anticipation, ready to experience this miracle again. As you stand here in the cool night air, surrounded by illuminated cherry blossoms and the gentle company of other viewers, you feel profoundly grateful to have witnessed this. The beauty of the blossoms, the depth of the tradition, the kindness and joy of the people sharing this experience, all of it has created something unforgettable. The night deepens, and eventually you must leave. But as you walk away from Chidorigafuchi, back toward your hotel, you notice cherry trees along the street. Even here, away from the famous viewing spots, there is beauty. A small restaurant has tables outside beneath a flowering cherry tree. A narrow alley is roofed with cherry branches. A tiny neighborhood shrine has a single ancient tree standing guard, its blossoms glowing in the light from a traditional lantern. You realize that this is perhaps the greatest gift of cherry blossom season in Japan. The beauty isn't restricted to famous locations. It's everywhere, woven into the fabric of daily life. Children walk to school beneath cherry trees. Commuters wait for trains under pink canopies. Elderly people sit on benches in neighborhood parks, watching petals fall. Everyone, regardless of age or status or occupation, gets to share in this seasonal gift. Back in your hotel room, you open the window. A cool breeze carries the scent of cherry blossoms. From somewhere nearby, you can hear the distant sound of a Hanami party, laughter and music drifting on the air. Tomorrow, you'll visit more locations, see more trees, experience more of this fleeting beauty. But for now, you're content to simply rest, to let the experiences of the day settle into memory. As you drift towards sleep, images from your journey flow through your mind. The pink tunnel of Ueno Park, the philosopher's path with its canal full of floating petals, the ancient weeping cherry. At Maruyama Park, illuminated against the night sky, the overwhelming spectacle of 30,000 trees covering Mount Yoshino, the intimate beauty of rowing beneath the blossoms at Chidorigafuchi, and the people, families picnicking together, office workers relaxing beneath the trees, couples walking hand in hand, children chasing petals, artists attempting to capture the beauty, photographers seeking the perfect frame, elderly people sitting quietly with gentle smiles, strangers sharing space, and joy under the cherry trees. This is Japan during Sakura season. This is Hanami. This is the gift of being present for something beautiful, something transient, something that happens only once a year and only for a brief time. The cherry blossoms bloom, they peak, they fall, and in that cycle, they remind everyone who sees them of life's precious impermanence, encouraging appreciation of every moment, every breath, every experience. Let these images and feelings carry you into rest. Let the soft pink of the blossoms, the gentle fall of petals, the peace of gardens and temples and parks all settle around you like a blanket. Let the rhythm of the trains that carried you through Japan rock you gently. Let the laughter and music and quiet conversations of Hanami parties become a soothing background hum. The cherry blossoms will bloom again next year, and the year after, and the year after that. The tradition will continue, passing from generation to generation, just as it has for over 1,000 years. And perhaps someday, you'll return to Japan in spring, to walk again beneath the cherry trees, to experience again this perfect marriage of natural beauty and human appreciation. For now, rest. Let the journey settle into dreams. Let the soft pink light of illuminated blossoms fill your mind. Let the peace of those moments under the cherry trees cradle you into deep, restorative sleep. The cherry blossoms are falling, soft as whispers, gentle as breath. Let them carry you down into rest, into peace, into dreams of spring and flowers and beauty that endures even as it fades, teaching the most important lesson of all, to appreciate what is here, right now, in this precious, fleeting moment. Sleep well, and may your dreams be filled with cherry blossoms. Thank you for joining me on this journey through cherry blossom season in Japan. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to The Sleep Room for more peaceful travel tales from around the world. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you in the next adventure.